welcome back to my channel. This is just going to be a very quick little update video. I just want to talk to you about some of the things I've been doing and just basically updating on my life and what's been happening. So I don't know if I've said in my last video, because I can't remember, it's some time back. I've started I began some new therapy. And I have finally found a therapist that I get on with. She's a doctor, a psychologist, a chartered psychologist. She's trained in autism and other neurodevelopmental conditions. She's worked on the NHS as well as privately. Obviously, I'm seeing her privately, funded via my direct payments. It's good because it's via Hello Self, which is an online therapy platform, and they actually record the sessions on there, so you can, which is quite helpful because you can rewatch it, which allows me to process it, which is a good thing. Obviously, they do ask you beforehand if you're okay with it being recorded or not, and yeah, it's quite a good thing. Anyway, yeah, she's been helping me with things. Obviously, I do want to eventually be able to get out and about again, because obviously the whole COVID situation has massively upped my anxiety, as I'm sure you all know, because I talk about it a lot. I do have very bad germ phobia, anxiety around germs, and obviously that predates COVID, but before COVID it wasn't as bad as what it is now, and I was getting a lot better, but now with COVID it's obviously a lot worse. I know people say to me, I always get told, people often oh, you don't need to worry, blah blah blah, COVID isn't, you should be fine, you have other risks that are far greater than COVID, blah blah blah. And it's you don't need to tell me that, because I know that already. I'm not stupid, I'm a very logical person. But the fact of the matter is that you can't really rationalise away phobias. As an agoraphobia, also, of course, I'm not completely imagining it. Yes, there are some risks that, all being equal, may well be greater than COVID, but that's not quite the point, because it's also to do with how I would respond if I got COVID. And yes, statistically speaking, the odds are in my favour. I've had all my jabs, I'm relatively young, I'm, as far as I'm aware, physically healthy. But that's not the issue. The issue is I might get COVID, and that to me would be a really, really, really bad for my mental health, because I am not good at dealing with illness on a subjective psychological level, because I really find it very difficult dealing with change, and illness is a change. Now, normal illnesses are hard enough. Thankfully, I don't get ill often, but normal illnesses are hard enough. But COVID is a completely different bag. It's very anxiety provoking. Even though it might be quote unquote mild now, particularly with the Omicron strain for most people, it's all relative. It's still not a very nice thing to have, to catch. I don't want that in my life. I don't want to lose my sense of taste or smell when I love cooking, as you all know. That's my major thing. My interests are very strong, and my autism means I have very fixed routines. That's a very big part of my autism. Catching COVID for me would be very bad, because it would be incredibly destabilising. So please don't tell me that I don't need to worry. It's got nothing to do with the facts, okay? I know the facts, I'm not stupid. It's everything to do with how I am on a subjective level. It's like telling a person with a spider phobia to just pick up a spider. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And like I say, it does contain very real psychological risks for me. And psychological is also a risk. It's not just the objective risks. I know what the statistics are. I know that. If that was all there was to it, I wouldn't have a problem. It's the subjective risks, and there are real risks. I'm not even imagining them, because I know what I'm like with uncertainty, and I know that I have panic attacks when I get ill. And COVID isn't even a normal illness. It's something that you have to isolate with and everything like that. And that to me would be terrifying, and I don't want to risk that sort of thing. So that's why it's very scary for me. So I just wanted to clear that up, because philosophizing and rationalizing is not something I need anyone to try to do, because it's not helpful, and that's not what the therapist's doing. She's a very good therapist, actually, and that's why I'm very pleased. She's allowing me to go at my own pace. She's not putting pressure on me at all. She's just very gently, letting us talk through the issues. she's working with my neurology, not against it. So she's, she, for a whole fact, for the very fact that that my fears around COVID are actually very genuine and very, for me actually, very logical, because of the subjective element of risk. And I know how I deal with illnesses, so it's not all in my head. I know that I would have panic attacks. That's like going without saying, because I do in normal illness situations. And in normal illnesses, at least I could go and get reassurance from my dad. I wouldn't be able to do that if I got COVID. I'd have to be all on my own, and that is terrifying. So yeah, it's not actually all in my head. So basically, yeah, she's helping me with that. In a very good way, but obviously it's going to take time. And obviously I do respond to key evidence, so I have to feel very, very safe before I feel able to make, inroads back to normality. But she's helping me with other things in the meantime, other anxieties I have, which are surmountable because I'm a very logical person. For example, I won't go into the reasons why I have this issue, because I don't really want to talk about it right now, but I do have an issue around handling fish. Like handling raw fish that you then cook. And she's helping me overcome that. And recently I did manage to cook fish fingers, which I haven't had for a long time because of this issue, even though they're covered in breadcrumbs, so it makes it feel a little bit like less of an issue for me, like handling, because you're not like really handling a fish directly. But I did actually do that on the weekend. So that is really good, because, and I think part of the reason why I was motivated to do that is because obviously I really, really love cooking, and I love food, and that's like a major interest of mine, and so therefore I had that motivation to do it, and also I know logically that it's 100% safe. Unlike with COVID, I know it's just my brain kind of being annoying, and it is therefore a lot easier for me to do. And actually the anxiety wasn't as bad as what I imagined it to be, and I think it helped. I have done this before with my support worker, who really kind of like helped me with reassurance, and we did it over and over again, and trusting myself really. And although it's a very long time ago that we did that, and then I stopped doing it, my support worker left, and I kind of got out of the habit, all of that work I'd done with her was obviously still there, and I think that obviously meant I did have the confidence to do it, and I didn't actually feel too anxious, and I enjoyed it. And obviously I want to move on so I can properly cook with it, not just the sort of processed forms, but actually properly cook with it. And I know I can do that, because I know, unlike with COVID, I know it's just my brain being annoying, and I logically know it's safe, and I know I can do it. So yeah, that's something that is achievable. And with the psychologist helping me, this is something that in the meantime I can focus on, that is achievable, and means I can get back to enjoying cooking it, because I do enjoy cooking it, and I do enjoy eating. So whereas obviously with COVID it's a bit harder, because first of all I don't really get not much motivation, because I'm not a very social person. Obviously I do want to see my dad again, but there needs to be a hell of a lot of motivation for me to do that overrides the anxiety. I would like to make tea or cake or something and have it in the garden, and we're trying to get some garden furniture so I could do that. But there has to be a lot of motivation for me to do it, and I have a feeling this is the reason why it's easier for non-autistic people who don't have these issues, because they might have anxiety, but they've got such a strong social instinct that is the motivator for them, whereas I don't have a social instinct. I need something so big. Whereas with the cooking example, I'm already motivated because I'm interested and I want to do it. And the interest has to be strong enough. First of all, the interest has to be strong enough to overcome the anxiety. But secondly, I have to feel safe enough. And because I know, with the cooking example there, that it's all in my brain, and that the risks are actually so small they're not even worth thinking about, and I know logically it's safe, so I can kind of logically work my way through the anxiety. With COVID, obviously I don't have that reassurance, because obviously it's not logically safe. I don't need the argument about my age group and all that, because as I said before, it's not just that, it's also the subjective element. And also, of course, I don't know what I would be like if I had COVID, because I've never had it before, and I'm not completely imagining it, and it is a public health emergency, and people, even young people, could sometimes get really ill with it, and I don't know what I'm going to be like with it. So it's actually a risk that I don't want to mess with. So yeah, it's a completely different thing. So with the COVID situation, it's kind of different to all of my other anxieties, because it's not just my brain playing up. It is a bit of that, in that obviously I do exaggerate things, but it is also the fact that there's a very real risk there. So yeah, like I say, that's what the psychologist is going to help me with, but she's going at my own pace and she's not putting pressure on me, and yeah, I feel she's a good one. Obviously, I will need GIS support for quite a long time, and ultimately, obviously, I do hope to see my support worker again, and that's what this psychological input is going to help try and help me achieve. But yes, I just wanted to talk about that because I wasn't sure if I mentioned it before, but I have finally found a good therapist. Right, and I speak to her once a week online. Okay, so moving on to video number 2 now, because I just want to share some other things that I've been up to recently and some other things that have been going on in my life. So moving on to video number 2.